Hello students, after studying this module, you shall be able to understand interpersonal communication process and its usefulness in organizations. Describe basic methods and process of communication. Identify dynamics of interpersonal communication and barriers in this process. Evaluate how interpersonal communication influence organizational effectiveness. Apply techniques to improve the flow of communication in organizations. Introduction. The field traced its lineage through business information, business communication and early mass communication studies published in the 1930 through 1950. Several seminal publications stand out as a work broadening the scope and recognizing the importance of communication in the organizing process and in using the term organizational communication. Herbert A. Simon wrote in 1947 about organization communication systems, saying communication is absolutely essential to organizations. W. Charles Reading played a prominent role in the establishment of organizational communication as a discipline. In the 1950s, organizational communication focused largely on the role of communication in improving organizational life and organizational output. In 1980s, the field turned away from a business-oriented approach to communication and became concerned more with the constitutive role of communication in organizing. In the 1990s, critical theory influence on the field was left as organizational communication scholars focused more on communication's possibility to oppress and liberate organizational members. Communication is important for all phases of organizational behavior, but it is especially crucial in decision making, performance appraisal, motivation, and generally ensuring that the organization functions effectively. First, we discuss the importance of communication in organizations and how information is transferred and processed. Then we describe the methods of organization communication and examine the basis communication process. Next, try to understand various communication networks in organizations. Finally, we discuss common problems of organizational communication and techniques to make communication more effective. Now, the definition and importance of communication in organization. Communication is the process by which two or more parties exchange information and share meaning. It has been studied from many perspectives. In this section, we overview the complex and dynamic communication process. It is the basic prerequisite for the attainment of organizational strategies and human resource management. Good communication is essential for the effective communication of any group. It can be through writing, reading, speaking, and even listening. Communication must include both transference and understanding of meaning. Therefore, the primary purpose of organizational communication is to achieve coordinated action. A second purpose of communication is information sharing. The effectively communicated information about individual's task provide him an overall picture about his job duties and its relation to the organizational goal. The information about employee's own performance in the form of performance appraisal, promotion, motivates him to work further with more effectiveness. Therefore, the information about the organizational goal is also important because it provides members with a sense of purpose and direction. Another purpose of communication is expressing of feelings and emotions. Communication is far from a collection of facts and figures. People in organizations, like people anywhere else, often need to communicate emotions such as happiness, anger, displeasure, confidence, and fear. Communication thus involved in many activities of the organization. It is the process through which individual and group activities and interaction are coordinated for the improvement of organizational effectiveness. Methods of communication in organization. The three primary methods of communicating in organizations are written, oral, and nonverbal communication. Often the methods are combined. Consideration that affects the choices of method include the audience, the nature of the message, and the cost of transmission. Let's talk about written communication first. Organizations produce a great deal of written communication of many kinds. A letter is a formal means of communication with an individual, generally someone outside the organization. The most common form of written communication in organization is the office memorandum or memo, reports, manuals, and forms. Second is oral communication. Oral communication is transmitted and receive ideas by using words. Oral communication takes place everywhere in formal conversation. In the formal speeches and presentation, this form of communication is powerful because it includes not only speaker's word but also their changes in tone, pitch, speed and volume. As the listeners, people use all of these cues to understand and interpret oral message. Non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication includes all the elements associated with human communication that are not expressed orally or in writing. Sometimes it conveys more meaning than words. It includes facial gestures, voice intonation, physical distance, even silence. Usually, non-verbal communication is automatic and unconscious. It is bounded by fewer rules than verbal communication. Physical movement and body language are also highly expressive human elements. Body language includes both actual movement and body position during communication. For example of the body language are handshake, making eye contact, sitting on the edge of a chair, sitting back with arms folded, etc. Computer mediated communication. In the era of information technology, organizations are developing internet and intranet facilities to share extensive information rapidly. Many organizations make use of intranet and video conferencing methods to meet people virtually to save time, energy and money. The model of basic communication process. Communication is a social process in which information is exchanged or a common understanding is established between two or more parties. The process is a social process because it involves two or more people. It is a two-way process and takes place over time rather than instantaneously. The communication process illustrated in the figure is a loop between the source and the receiver. The source is the individual, group or organization interested in communicating something to another party. It is the process by which the message is translated from an idea or a thought into a transmittable symbols. At that time, transmission play a key role. Transmission is a process through which the symbols that represent the message are sent to the receiver, but the message requires a channel or a path through which it is transmitted. Then receiver interprets the meaning of the message. Therefore, the receiver is the individual, group or organization that perceives the encoded symbols and may or may not decode them and try to understand the intended message. After the feedback will be given to the sender that indicates receipt of the message. When feedback verifies the message, it tells the source whether the message has been received and understood. The feedback may be as simple as the phone call from the prospective client expressing interest in the business proposal, or as complex as written brief on a complicated point of law sent from an attorney to a judge. In this model, channel noise or noises are responsible for disturbances in communication that is due to primarily to the medium. It is any disturbance in the communication process that distorts communication. That is why it is either minimized to the extent possible if not eliminated. Radio static and television ghost are example of channel noise. When noise interferes in the encoding and decoding processes, poor encoding and decoding can result. Emotions that interfere with an intended communication may also be considered a type of noise. Communication networks. Now we know that communication is a process of flow through a channel. It links individuals and groups in social system. Initially, task-related communication links develop in an organization so the employees can get the information they need to do their jobs and coordinate their work with that of others in the system. Over a long period, these communication relationships become a sophisticated social system composed of both small group communication network and a larger organizational network. These networks serve as a structure, both the flow and the content of communication, and to support the organizational structure as shown in figure. The pattern and content also support the culture, belief, and the value system that enables the organization to operate. Formal network. Formal networks are typically vertical, follow the authority chain, and are limited to tasks related to communication. These are usually chain, wheel, and all the channels are given in a figure. Chain network describes a formal chain of command. The top manager is delegating authority to the next higher level only, and no direct communication occurs with lower level employees. Wheel relies on the leader to act as a central conduct for whole group's communication. Here everyone is communicating with the leader and vice versa, but not with each other. The all-channel network permits all group members to actively communicate with each other. The informal system. The informal communication generally associated with the interpersonal horizontal communication was primarily seen as a potential hindrance to effective organizational performance. There is no longer the case. Informal communication has become more important to ensuring the effective conduct of work in modern organization. Grapevine. The grapevine is an informal communication system. This term is applied for any information communicated through informal channels among employees and people in the society. In this system, communication is free to move in any direction, skip authority levels, and is as likely to satisfy group members' social need as it facilitate task accomplishments. Communication barriers. Communication barriers are those which create hindrance or disturb the free flow of exchange of information in spite of best efforts of sender and receivers. First, perception. Perception is the process that determines the message we select as well as how the selected information is organized and interpreted. Thus, the perception of the sender and the receiver should be aligned. For example, if boss is in a foul mood, employee might receive it as his fault and crib about him being unjust, where he might be angry with his supervisor. Filtering. People don't accept all stimuli that comes to them from the environment. We usually filter out the information that suits our requirement. Filtering may involve deleting or delaying negative information or changing the word so that event sounds more favorable. Attention. Attention affects communication a lot. It is attention which makes a message more important than other. For example, the information about the bonus spreads in no time in the whole organization because everyone pays more attention to it than the information about a sick leave of an employee. Thus, it is the relevance of the information which make it more attentive and hence communicated easily. Attentive listening is also a pathway to effective communication. Asking questions and putting the speaker's idea into one's own words are helpful. There are ways to ensure that one is taking in all the information presented. When listening to others, one should avoid jumping to conclusion or evaluating their remarks. It is important to completely take in what is being said before responding. Language. Using needlessly formal language may impose a serious barrier to communication. All specialized fields have jargons, their own specialized language. Jargons include technical language and acronyms as well as recognized words with specialized meaning in specific organizations or social groups. It also shapes and maintains organizations' cultural values as well as symbolize and employs self-identity in a group. Professional jargons help communications, but it can lead to confusion when used outside the groups. Jargons help them to share complex ideas but within the specialized group. Ambiguity. Ambiguity creates problem in the communication process when the sender and receivers are not be able to interpret the same word or phrase similarly. For example, if a supervisor says, "Would you like to think again about planning of this project?" The message is quite ambiguous because the employee may think whether supervisor wants me to check the planning of this project or does not approve of it. Such ambiguity can mark the entire purpose of effective communication. Information overload. The flood of message causes information overload. Information overload occurs when the volume of information received exceeds the person's capacity to process and retain it. Employees have certain information process capacity, that is amount of information that they are able to process in a fixed unit of time. At the same time, jobs have a varying information load, that is the amount of information to be processed. Now, techniques for improving flow of communication. Communication plays a central role in organization functioning. As we know that communication works at all levels, interpersonal, interorganizational and intra-organizational level, the effective communication will increase the productivity and effectiveness of an organization. There are few tactics of improving communication. Simple language. All organizations, fields, social groups, and professions have their own specialized language. Jargons help professionals to quickly understand the meaning of the communication, but it can lead to confusion when used outside the group. Therefore, jargons should be avoided when attempting to communicate with outsiders. Another important thing for effective communication is that communicators should keep language short, simple, and to the point. Thus, it is better to adapt to KISS principle when communicating, that is, keep it short and simple. Overburdening. Wise communicator should not overburden his audience with a very long message or extended communication. It should be short, simple, precise, and to the point, which the people will effectively absorb. Although communicator knows that he is talking about, but he may not be able to get his idea across to another unless he packaged them in small doses and simple enough to be understood. This way, even most complex idea can be clearly communicated. Be an active listener. People consider listening as a passive process. As a result, they will be able to comprehend only a small percentage of information directed at them. But listening is an active process because listeners can help the communication process effective by letting the senders know if and how his or her message are coming across clearly. When listening to the others, one should avoid jumping to conclusion or evaluating their remarks. It is imperative to understand another's idea before formulating a reply. It helps both speaker as well as receiver, and hence effective communication take place. Obtain feedback. The feedback between employee and organization should be good. Usually employees do not like upward channels for communication. They are also reluctant to use. The policies like suggestion system facilitate the upward communication. Suggestion boxes are designed to help avoid such problems. To provide a conduct for employees' idea, employees are usually rewarded for their successful suggestions either with a flat mandatory reward or some percentage of the profit. Several other techniques such as corporate hotlines, telephone lines staffed by corporate personnel ready to answer employees' questions, listen to their comments, etc. Brown bag meetings and skip level meetings are designed to facilitate communication between people who don't usually get together because they work at a different organizational level. These meetings are informal, get together over breakfast or lunch where people discuss about their company. Employee survey can be used to gather information about employees' attitude and opinions about key areas of organizational operations. They all sit together to discuss the feedback. Communication apprehensions. People feel apprehensive while communicating in front of a gathering. Communication apprehension is an undue tension and anxiety about oral communication, written communication, or both. Some people find it very comfortable to talk on the phones. They prefer to write letters or use memos, even in situations where phone is most convenient mode of communication. Thus, communication apprehension is a serious problem because it affects the entire group of communication technique. Because people who have oral communication apprehensions usually try to minimize the job of requirement for communication. They reduce it to minimum, therefore make others to realize that this job can be done without communicating much. By this way, they distort the communication demands of their jobs and maybe reduce the effectiveness of the communication related to the job. How to make your message more effective? The communication will become effective when the receiver understands the message sent by the sender in a way designed by the sender. The sender must be empathizing with the receiver. Empathy here means putting oneself in the receiver's shoes while encoding the message. Here the sender is sensitive toward the emotional response to the receiver. Repeat the message. Just a frequent repetition of the same message make the listener to be more attentive towards the message. Use timing effectively. The sender should choose the time at which the receiver would be more likely to be less distracted by noise or other stimuli. Be descriptive. People become reluctant to the negative message as well as to those messages which attack their self-esteem. Therefore, suggest things that listeners can do in order to improve. Maintain interest. Communicators should be able to develop the interest of the receivers towards the message. We close our minds toward the boring message. Thus, the communication should be valuable for the listener, which will create his interest in it. Summary. The chapter has mainly focused on how to get people to receive and understand message effectively. It is important to understand a message, then to accept the information. which has been providing to them. People understand the message when it touches their belief and value systems. Only then they will change their opinion and behaviors. That is why we need effective communication. It facilitates knowledge sharing, aids decision making, coordinates work facilities, and fulfill the need for affiliation. Communication involves more than just linear information flows. It is dynamic interpersonal process that involves behavior exchanges. Both formal and informal forces are responsible for the effectiveness of communication in organization. Style of dress and the use of time and space are used to communicate non-verbally in organization. There are several barriers in the flow of communication which can be overcome by the use of proper communication techniques.